going to try not to be so draining or come across as less enthusiastic, but I'm just going to, if I don't do that, then low-key I'm not being completely authentic, so I want to actually do, or what I want to say, and I want to exactly explain how I right now, in this moment of time, what's going through my head. Done some self-analysis, and not just even self-analysis, to be honest. It's just like I've just noticed this, and it's very evident, not just from me like just observing myself, but also me as observing my output. You know, if you're watching my videos, usually I try and come across as much as possible as kind of uplifting and motivational and stuff like that, because you know, I want to instill that drive in not only in myself, because me, by talking about it every day and also trying to act it out, builds a really strong momentum, and I've seen that within myself, and it's been all highs, and it's been great, right? Especially you know, if I'm just speaking from this year alone, it's been very good. And you know, it's been so good to the fact that I've even gotten opportunities to like go to like a different country recently, you know, flying across the pond, basically going to North America. And you know, that's not something that normally happens. It's definitely never happened to me before, but it's simply because I just put in a lot of work in my day job at the moment, to the point where I was kind of noticed by people and people higher up, and it allowed me to basically network. So I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm just literally saying what has happened, because I put in a lot of work in my day job. You know, people can see your performance basically. So I work in a very kind of a sales focused role. So like a lot of it is measured each month. You have these kind of KPIs, which basically mean key performance indicators. You have a target and you have to try and hit that 100% or whatever. And it's good. I mean, if you hit that, then it's really good. You're on track, and your manager's happy, your teammates are happy, and the management above are also very happy, because you're basically making them money, right? So yeah, that's that. And also personally as well, you get like a good cut of that as well. So if you do well, the more you put, the more hours you put, the better commission, or the more money you would basically make. And that's essentially what I do, is my day job, when I'm not making YouTube videos, basically. And for YouTube, even though I'm recently monetized, I've not made a single penny or single cent, if you're American, at all. So like, I don't actually earn money from this. The last 3 months have been incredible. So from January all the way up until the end of March have been incredible. I've managed to hit the status of being the top performer in my company. That was pretty cool. Like, I never actually hit that before, so that was the first time. And I've gone to like social events after work and stuff. I was actually at one yesterday, and one of the managers, like, that doesn't manage me but is in a different team, was really talking to me, and you know, telling me how good I've done. And to be honest, it's really nice to hear that, especially from other people like that you don't normally always talk to, and even from like people your own age and stuff. Like, you know, they always kind of bring your name up and stuff. And I'm, you know, obviously from a vain sense, that is quite nice, but also I get very embarrassed. I don't know why. I just get very like, I don't know if embarrassment is the word. I think I just get very shy-ish when like I get shouted out for something good, you know, like, I don't know. It's just something I've always talked. That's why I've told my manager specifically, please do not shout me out and things, because I don't know why, but it makes me feel good. Don't get me wrong. That's not the case. It doesn't definitely makes me feel good, and I like it. But at the same time, I also feel kind of embarrassed. I'm not sure why that's the case. I might have to dig deep. Anyway, the point of this video is to try and talk you through like what happened last month. So the 3 months have been incredible. Hit great achievement, and the 4th month, April, has been so bad. Like, it's been terrible. I went from so good. I mean, I still believe and I still feel like I'm capable, but like, I went from so good performance-wise to suddenly dropping to like, yeah, to like not good at all, right? I was nowhere near my target, nothing like that. And this is the reality of things. Like, I'm not going to always record things when everything is good. I'm going to have to record things when everything is bad as well, because, again, it's all about being authentic and real at certain points in time. So, yeah, so last month was terrible. To an extent, like, I didn't get to do much work because I was away for 10 days in Canada, and, that in itself was only a possibility because of the work I put in 3 months ago. Last month was tough because I just wasn't really in it. I don't know what it was. Like, I just was not feeling it whatsoever. And I know and I completely understand that, motivation isn't real. It's all about being disciplined. Regardless of how you feel, you will still show up and perform at your best and utmost ability, because end of the day, that's what has got me through. And I firmly believe that is what has allowed me to hit the level I have done, because every day when I showed up, there were days, right, in that January month, that February month, that March month, which felt really good, and I was up, I was positive, I was upbeat, I was ready to tackle the day. Monday morning I was ready. But then there was also equally been days where, like, it was the opposite and I did not feel like it. I didn't really feel like going to work and just doing work or whatever. It wasn't really, I wasn't too, like, enthusiastic, nothing like that. But I really knew that, if I wanted to be at the level I wanted to be at, I have to perform regardless of that day. So that's what I did, and I performed even on those kind of low days. And to be honest with you, like, when I had a low day and I performed, I still felt good, because at the end, like, I felt like I accomplished something. And in that moment in time, like, maybe I felt low in the morning or whatever, I still, when I did it, I just felt back to normal. Like, I realized it's just these moments that come and go and they pass by, but, like, the real fulfillment comes when you delay all of that gratification, and, opportunities like what I've just recently had pop up, or like praise from other people, if you're into that as well, that has happened. Or like actually, earning amount of money that I've really consistently, quite a lot, that I've never really done before at all. That happened. So there's all these things that are happening, right? All these doors are opening up. I'm able to speak to people that, are very senior, like, just because they see my name on a leaderboard and something, so they're happy to discuss. And that is all cool and stuff, but at the same time, last month was terrible, and I really I asked myself why that was. And it was kind of a mixture of, first of all, at the week of the month, like, I didn't feel like, too great about everything. Just naturally, like, having those kind of, like, not too hype days. But then, like, also the amount of work I was receiving was a lot less than normal, which meant that, okay, I'm not off to a very good start. So the start wasn't too good, and I lost momentum. I honestly lost so much momentum. But those are the times where you have to, like, keep at it. You have to keep super optimistic and super motivated. And I lost it. I completely lost it. It was so bad. Like, in my mind, I was kind of giving up. And I'm not too happy with the way things went. And then the whole, like, Canada thing happened when I had to go to Canada, and I was so excited to go to that, experience that. And even, like, a couple of days to a week before that, actually a couple of days, because I only found out a few days before, I was not in it with work. I was just fully fixated on Canada, fully fixated on filming for the series that I'm filming at the moment alone in Canada, or I have already done. I was so on it for that everything else just became not really of importance. And then, at the end of the month, I became I was placed in the ranking of not, a top performer or a high achiever, whatever. And I guess that's when I felt a bit like, okay, cool, like, this is, I mean, I kind of definitely deserved it from the way I was performing and the way my mindset was. I just realized that, like, I can't keep that mindset going, because if I have that kind of doubt, and if I have that kind of, like, in a way, laziness, right? Even though I don't necessarily think it was complete laziness, I think it's more so because I was so distracted by other things that maybe my goal wasn't so clear. I mean, I had a goal, but I wasn't so fixated on it because I was distracted by other things. But also, when the going got tough, I kind of gave up. So that was another thing. And why this is so significant is that if I'm trying to start my own company, I'm gonna face those days quite often, probably, because there's gonna be so much doubt because the road is not clear ahead. There's gonna be a lot of that. So how am I gonna cope with that if I can't even cope with 1 month of that, of my current situation? Yeah, that's one thing that I kind of asked myself. Like, how am I gonna do that? So then that was the case, right? So I had to ask myself, like, why am I doing this? Like, is it just because of like, me getting distracted? I think it was a mixture of both. I think I got distracted. I lost clarity on the goal. I lost my focus in that sense. And I just gave up too easily, way too easily. And that is something that I can't do. Like, I simply, you just shouldn't be doing that. If, if you're fixated on a goal that you really want to achieve, then you should really observe things through when when you maybe feel a bit of doubt, when you maybe feel a bit like you're losing momentum, but then you should be able to be in a position where you can switch it back on. In a sense, you should be in a position where you're aware of this, and then you can bring yourself back. And I think that only comes from if you're in a state where you really have a defined goal. Maybe the goal I have isn't really the goal I want. Does that make sense? Because like maybe it doesn't actually bring me fulfillment because what am I actually achieving? Like, to be honest with you, if I'm being completely honest, what I'm actually achieving, not necessarily is money, even though I'm getting a decent cut from it. It's not money because if it's money, then I don't think I can sustain it too long. What it actually is opportunities because I've noticed periods where I was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, or actually even a year ago from now, I showed signs of potential, but I was never the person I am now in terms of my 9 to 5, career life or whatever. I was never the same person. I would just different mentality, but also in terms of like actual individual or employee, I was very different. I was not a high performing person. And then once I became that person, I started to get recognition from managers. Like I said, I started to get opportunities from that. People would ask me things, people pop up, people kind of know who I am because of that. So that in itself, the opportunities aspect was very, very rewarding, right? And it kind of came true. And actually, the whole trip to Canada thing was like crazy for me. Like I felt extremely euphoric and grateful when I was on the flight to be able to do that because I've never been like that kind of position. But then I realized that it's just because I put so much hard work, and that was what kind of was driving it, to be honest. And I'm not saying money is not a driving force. I'd be completely lying if that was the case, but it definitely was. It just wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was the number one thing for sure. I think the number one thing was definitely the opportunities, and just because I know that if somehow I can get my name across, and you could do this as well, to be honest. Like if you're, whether it be in school, whether it be at university, whether it be at your job, if you can somehow show that you are reliable, you are trustworthy, and that you are very good at what you're doing, aka putting in a lot of hours, trying to find things and ways to improve, then naturally people are going to look at you and be like, oh, this is someone that I can definitely trust, and this is someone that I can do good things with, be able to progress, would want myself to hang around with and associate myself with just because of the person that you've just built, the person that you become, right? So that's it. Like that is what I really wanted, and for me is like if I can put myself in a position where the top management people know who I am, or at least like are aware of what I've done, then that gives me a lot of exposure in that sense. And I think if you think of it like that as well, it's always good, and that is low key building your network from when you're in your 20s. Because to be honest, I'm not in a position where I know millionaires. I'm not in a position where I know really high successful people and my network is filled with these kind of individuals. Instead, I'm in a position where what I can do is I know these are the people that I guess, are the most senior people, or these, even not even looking at the senior people, but even looking at the other top performers, they have such a good mentality and such fixed mindset. How do I get close to that? How do I get close to them? Well, I need to first of all prove to them that I'm also very capable. So that's what I did. Like, I just kind of grinded whatever, proved that's the case. And yeah, naturally, I met some of the other top performers. We spoke a lot, and some of them I'm quite good friends with. But not just that, like even the management, I get to speak with them. They sometimes they book meetings with me, like the other day as well. So it's really cool. Like none of that would have happened if I was just quiet, sat alone, and just kind of worked on my own thing, but not really like improve, if that makes sense. But yeah, the reality was that last month was not good, and I gave up and gave up way too easily and way too early, and I got distracted a lot, and that should not be the case. And if I'm trying to do something in the long term, if I want to be who I want to be, or at least just be super consistent, then these things really shouldn't be happening. And I guess sometimes you know the counter argument to that is like you need to give yourself a break. Potentially you do. Yeah. Like if you feel like you're way too overwhelmed, then you know you don't want to end up not being productive by just continuing to push. If you feel way like you're going to break or something, then in that case, yeah, give yourself a break so then you will be productive in the long term, right? So you want to make sure that's the case as well. I guess like so far this month, like I'm definitely better than last month, but at the same time, you know, I'm still kind of recovering from the whole thing. And also, what doesn't help is that me going to Canada, as much as it's an amazing experience, has been great, it was so different to my current routine, right? Yeah, I was going to gym, but I wasn't doing my workout routine, and I was only going for like half an hour gym sessions in the morning, or like maybe an hour. And I certainly was not eating right. You know, I was eating fast food. By the way, okay, I've not had fast food this whole year in the UK. I gave myself some leeway because in Canada there are some fast food specific. Also, a lot of the stuff was free for me, and a lot of the times I was taken to restaurants from the people there as well. So, you know, it was very hard for me to say no, but I'm just saying like I was in 10 days where I was like basically eating anything. You know, I was going to grab, you know, drinks with my colleagues or whatever. Yeah, my routine was it's not the same. Like when I'm in London right now, it's a lot more focused. Wake up at 6 a.m., go to work, come back, do a bit more, work on my videos, and yeah, go to bed, repeat. And you know, some of those days I'd go to gym, like today, for example, I'm in the gym. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And the weekends I would just literally just focus on work. But when it was so different in Canada, now coming back to the UK, I need to build that momentum again, and I'm kind of finding it a bit difficult in that sense. But I think it's all about pushing through those barriers. You'll come back into that momentum, that groove of things. But yeah, I just want to make this video. Like, not every day is like, you know, upbeat motivation, nothing like that. It does get difficult, and I think last month was the first time I experienced that this year for sure. I hope I don't get many of those moments, many of those days, or many of those months. But I just want to make it transparent and be real here because we just gotta kind of swim through and just keep that momentum alive.